Robert, can you see me?
I can see you fine, and you are streaming.
I'm streaming. My camera just went away. It's just like, it's one of those days for us. So welcome to the classroom. Make sure that you do everything you possibly can to spread the good news. Dr. Neal Barnard is here today in the classroom, and we're going to be talking about your body and balance. We're going to be talking about the best optimal nutrition after the age of 45, which I'll be paying attention. So I'm going to start my record button. And we're going to record for all of you who are listening on podcasts and BitChute and Odyssey, watching on Pat. So fasten your seatbelt, because we're going to learn and grow together. We're going to learn about how to achieve optimal health after what nutrition should look like after the age of 45. So let's get in the moment. It's time to dance. Here we go.
The Lillian McDermott Show.
We love, we fear, bridges we burn, we make mistakes, then we live and learn. When life gets tough, and it seems like your best ain't good enough. If you're in need of hope, you know where I'll be right here. Right here, and when you need a friend, you can count on me. I'll be right here, waiting for
This is the place you can always turn to when you need a friend. The Lillian McDermott Show. To reach out to Lillian, visit her on the web at whenyouneedafriend.com. Now let's all learn together. Here's Lillian McDermott.
Hello, my listening and viewing friend. It's so nice we can meet each other on the air on it's this beautiful best day ever. And for those of you who are tuning into the classroom for the first time, please know I've been waiting for you. This is a safe place that you can go to when you need a friend. It is my commitment to provide natural ways to heal, and it is my mission to make awareness, responsibility, and truth a part of our everyday life. And I hope you, my listening, as well as my viewing friend, will feel empowered to embrace a new truth and live the life of your dreams. Now, it's been a while since Dr. Neal Barnard has been in the classroom. And for those of you, if you've never heard of him, you're in for a treat. I know most of you know who he is, and you're going to be tuning in and asking your questions. So it's not going to be a teacher's pet corner. So type in your cue and write your question down, and we'll address it during the class today. So if for those of you who want to learn a little bit more about Dr. Neal Barnard, he is a New York Times bestselling author. He's a professor. He's a researcher. He is the founder of Physicians Committee for Responsible Medicine. What a beautiful name for what doctors should be all focused on. He's also a very strong activist and talented musician. And so when I love to learn from Dr. Barnard, his books are incredible. I think he's up to 19, 20 books right now. I have no idea. He'll let us know. He'll correct me. But today we're giving away 3 of Your Body in Balance, because Dr. Neal Barnard is that generous. And we're going to be talking about nutrition for women after the age of 45. And guess what my husband said? What about men? We want to hear about men's best nutrition after the age of 45. So maybe we'll throw some of those things in there. But for those of you who would like a copy of this book by Dr. Neal Barnard, you can text me at 407-373-5959. That's 407-373-5959. If you're out of the country or out of the United States and you want to email me, you're responsible for your shipping. We will make sure that this is for United States. It's Dr. Neal Barnard's generosity of sending the book. So make sure you text me. Now, the names will be in the winner's basket, and I will pick 3 names out on Friday. So you will have till Friday to submit all your requests for this book. And since it is our sole purpose in life to receive love and knowledge, I am grateful that Dr. Neal Barnard is here to do just that. Welcome back, Dr. Barnard, to the classroom.
Well, thank you, Lily. It's so great to be with you.
Well, it's always wonderful to reconnect with you. You have, of all the people that come into the classroom, you are really, truly on the cutting edge of what is optimal or latest in nutrition. So share a little bit about your background and what's made you so passionate about learning about nutrition and health and being such a strong advocate as you are.
Well, I have to confess, I grew up in North Dakota, and nutrition was not something I thought about at all as a kid. My dad grew up in the cattle business, and so did his father, and kind of everybody, as far back as I can trace. But my father didn't like raising cattle, and he thought, this is not for me. So he decided that he was going to go to medical school, and he did. And he became a doctor, and he specialized especially in diabetes. But I got to tell you something. He'd come home from work, and about 6 o'clock, 6:30, he'd walk in the door and he'd set down his bag, and he'd fall into a chair and he'd pick up the paper. I never once heard my father ever say that any of his patients with diabetes were ever able to get rid of the disease or even improve dramatically. His job was really to kind of slow the decline. And so when I went to medical school, he never said, Neal, I think you should be a diabetes specialist. He kind of steered me away from that, really, because I think he didn't feel that there was optimism. But I got to tell you, Lily, it's amazing where sometimes optimism finds you. We started to discover that when we got a little bit away from prescription pads, that kind of stuff, we started looking at what food could do. Food was really the big driver for these problems. And we started doing a lot of research studies, especially to help people change their diets. And we found that diabetes could improve dramatically and sometimes go away. And then we could apply what we learned to many, many other conditions, such as losing weight, getting cholesterol down, even menopausal symptoms. So women who are being eaten up by hot flashes and so forth, we found that we could help them enormously. So instead of these issues being daunting, we find them being things where we can really help people to find. I think you put it better than anybody when you say this can be my best day ever. People think, wait a minute, no, I had my best day ever when I was 8 years old. It couldn't possibly be that good again. But people really can rejuvenate their health, and a lot of times that relates to something simple like what's on their plate.
It's so interesting. There's so many people that don't understand that they can reverse diabetes by the way they eat. And not too long ago, I received a comment like, are you saying that all you have to do is change your food and you can reverse all diseases? No, I'm not saying that. But I'm saying that it is a major contributor. The way we eat is a major contributor. Why is it that mainstream media hasn't embraced this? And well, I know the answer to this. Why isn't that, let me just rephrase the question. Why isn't that people haven't caught on to it? Because the mainstream media, we know why they're not promoting it. But why is it that people hear this and then step away and say, I take a pill so that I can have sugar. I can take a pill so I can have animal products. I'll take a pill, but not taking ownership for their life and say, I can actually change the way I eat and it could change the way my body responds. Why do you think we're not embracing that?
I think different people are making different choices. And we're in a way, we are kind of where we were a generation ago with cigarettes, where we knew that cigarettes caused cancer. Some people had quit, some people were cutting down, some people said, forget it, life's too short to not have a smoke. But as time goes on, you could see the trend. And we've really won a big battle with cigarettes, which is now everybody knows the dangers. That's good. And most people have made a healthy choice. With food, we're about a generation behind, where people now realize food's an issue, but gee, that huge, humongous steak and whatever still looks pretty attractive. So not everybody is making changes, but many are. And I got to tell you, Lily, we had a conference last week here in Washington, and we had a room filled with medical doctors, medical experts who are embracing completely healthy diets, plant-based diets. And this is something you wouldn't have seen a generation ago. So you're right. I mean, there are people advertising every completely unhealthy food, and, people are attracted to these things. That's understandable. But the number of people who are looking for a healthier direction is bigger than it has ever been.
Well, that's good to hear. What's even more making my heart smile is hearing about all the doctors that are learning more about this, because we go into that white coat trance and we hear and obey, and that is where doctors are leading people to slaughter. They're leading them astray. And so to hear that you're influencing, and I know that a lot of other doctors as well are as passionate as you are making a difference, and I want to thank you for that. I want to encourage you guys to get this book. If you're not a winner today, we're giving away 3 books, Your Body in Balance. Please consider getting it for yourself, but you can text me 407-373-5959. So why 45? Why 45? Is that when we turn into a pumpkin? Is that the bewitching number?
People pick every kind of number. When I was a teenager, we thought that anybody over 25 was kind of over the hill. But,
oh, that makes me so ancient. Okay.
But it's true. And then we decided, no, the limit is 30. You could still be cool up till 30. And then after I hit 30, I thought, wait a minute, let's move the goalpost a little bit
50.
further. For many women, menopause is a time when they think, gee, maybe I'm not so young anymore. Or how do I feel? And they start reassessing. But for people who hit 40 and 50 and 60, I have to say, there is absolutely no reason why any one of those ages has to really be a definition between young and old. That there are people who feel better just year by year by year by year. And not just how you feel better, but when you look at, say, your athletic performance and so forth, it can continue to improve. So some of these age numbers don't matter too much. But we have just done some studies with women who are hitting menopause, and they're concerned about a couple things. One thing that they're feeling is symptoms right now. I've got hot flashes. They're waking up at night. I feel terrible. My quality of life is terrible. They are also, and by the way, we found a treatment that really knocks them out just with food, which I want to tell you about. But in addition to that, many women think, okay, well, now that I'm at this stage of my life, what's ahead for me? Am I likely to have trouble losing weight? Am I going to be just gaining weight forever? Do I need to start really focusing on cancer prevention or protecting my heart? Or do I need to worry about my cognition? Is Alzheimer's in my future? So it's a time when many people start reflecting about what's ahead of them. So it's a good time to reflect on what we're eating and really make sure that that's in as good a shape as it can be.
I like that. So for everybody, it's different. So let's look at these foods. Let's look at what is it that we're doing, because I believe in taking ownership for everything in my life. And I've been experiencing some hot flashes lately, and I know that my thyroid is a little out of whack. And so I'm working on changing that. But could I be eating foods that are also causing a response or reaction? How do I know?
We started looking at Japan, because Japan went through this amazing transition back 1960s, late 50s, 1960s, or early 70s. The diet was mostly rice, some vegetables. There was some fish, some meat in the diet, but not an enormous amount. And really, this was not an ice cream culture. Dairy products were not the thing at all. And then if you looked at the population, they were pretty thin. They were the longest lived people on the planet. And hot flashes were only about 15% of women. And when they had them, they were pretty mild. What happened? The golden arches arrived suddenly.
Oh.
Yeah, they did. And suddenly fast foods were everywhere. And American tastes, which were meat, cheese, that kind of stuff, that became kind of the fad. It started with men at business meetings, and then it became the whole population, and then young people. And by about 2000, hot flashes went up from 15% to 40% of women. Breast cancer rates doubled. Diabetes came in. People were gaining more weight. There was more hair loss, more depression, things that you wouldn't think would have anything to do with food, but they did. So anyhow, we then started looking at other populations. But the take-home message from Japan was more plant-based diet probably was helpful. Soybeans might have been helpful because they were eating lots of tofu and soy milk, and soy has what are called isoflavones that are famous for reducing breast cancer risk, but also might help against hot flashes. But then we started looking at rural Mexico, completely different hemisphere. And there you're not eating rice, their grain is corn. You're not eating soybeans, they eat black beans in the Yucatan Peninsula of Mexico. But they didn't have hot flashes either. So our research team decided we had to do a research study. We brought in women, they all had hot flashes that were driving them crazy. And it was three things: completely plant-based diet, not mostly plant-based, it was 100% plant-based for 12 weeks. Everyone is going to do a vegan diet for 12 weeks. And then really low in fat. And this, I got to tell you, is the hardest part, because we kept cooking oils out, and even healthy fats like avocado or nuts. We said, we're going to go really no added fat in that for 12 weeks. And then we had a half a cup of cooked soybeans every day. So everyone got an Instant Pot, and everyone got their non-GMO soybeans, and they cooked them up and they threw them on their salad or whatever. And this moderate to severe hot flashes decreased by almost 90%. In these people, and about half of the women had none whatsoever, just gone, flat out gone. And unlike the drug approach, where you can knock out hot flashes with drugs too, but those drugs increase cancer risk. In this case, the women lost on average about 8 pounds in 12 weeks. They're eating exactly the diet that's going to reduce their cancer risk, and they felt empowerment. Like, it's me doing this. It's not the drugstore doing this. These are things I'm doing with my own food. So anyway, that's just kind of the beginning. But what we were able to find is that women felt younger, more in charge, and there's nothing like having your hot flashes gone so you can get a good night's sleep. But every woman has her own effect, and I just encourage people to try it, see how it works for them.
Well, why is it? I mean, and you were very specific, and I'm very grateful that you said non-GMO soybeans, because soy has been altered incredibly. And so what is it about soy? I hear so much people say, oh, I can't have soy, I have had cancer. I can't have soy because it gives you like estrogen or for men. So why has soy been so, why is there so much, I don't know,
bad press
about it? Yeah, bad press. That's a good one. Did somebody get somebody upset?
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. And it's soy does not increase cancer risk, and it does not feminize men. But that myth has been persistent, and you can kind of understand why, because it started off decades ago. Researchers discovered something important that was a little bit misinterpreted. What they discovered was that soybeans have these isoflavone compounds that attach to estrogen receptors in the cell. And that led people to think that if they're attaching to the estrogen receptor, that's going to drive cancer. And in a man's body, that'll give him man boobs, is the word that the guys will use.
That's good.
But over time, what happened was none of that happened. Researchers have tracked, say, women who consume a huge amount of soy milk, tofu, miso, and so forth, and they don't have more cancer. They have about 30% less risk of breast cancer. And researchers have tracked women who've had breast cancer in the past. And this is the case where someone says, well, I've had breast cancer, I don't think I can have soy. Researchers have followed those women. It turns out that the women who have had breast cancer in the past, but now consume a lot of soy, their risk of dying of their cancer is cut by 25 or 30%. So soy not only reduces cancer risk, but it reduces mortality. So what's the deal? Yes. Here's the deal. The soy isoflavones do attach to estrogen receptors, but it turns out you got two completely different estrogen receptors. It's sort of like in your car, you got two pedals on the right-hand side. One is your gas, one's the brake. Mm-hmm. They have completely opposite effects. The gas makes the car go fast. The brake stops it. You have two different kinds of estrogen receptors. Alpha, beta. The alpha is the gas pedal, the beta is the brake. Soy attaches to the brake. Soy attaches to beta. So the soy isoflavones are part of cancer prevention. Now, you don't have to have them. I'm not promoting them necessarily, but we found that they work almost like a natural medicine to reduce cancer risk, and they are part of the program that we developed that just knocks out hot flashes. and makes women feel really, really good. So we encourage people to try it. But plus the other thing I got to tell you, Lily, if you have a hamburger, cholesterol, fat, and so forth, and you replace that with a soy-based burger, it's still maybe not the most natural thing. It's not exactly the same as having asparagus, whatever, but it beats the heck out of the animal product. So if I have pork bacon versus soy bacon, the plant-based one is always better, even if it's not as good as something that might be totally unprocessed.
Well, we used to buy veggie burgers, and I looked at the ingredients and I looked at the sodium content. And that was the last time I bought a veggie burger. And then when these alternative, like to meat, and I'm thinking, what am I doing? If I'm not going to eat meat, I'm not going to eat alternative to meat because I really don't know what's in it. So we started doing mushrooms, like portobello mushrooms. I marinate them and I season them, and we put them in the George Foreman grill, and that is better than a burger for me. And it's all plant-based, all natural. There's nothing there's nothing chemically altering of this organic portobello mushroom. And so what I understand is that's the soy isolate. Is soy isolate different than the isoflavones? How do you call it?
Yeah, isoflavones. Yeah.
Flavones. So is soy isolate what's causing the problem? Because I've heard that is seriously horrible for people. And
I don't think any
baby formula.
My own opinion is I don't think any of those things are horrible at all. I think I really think that for some reason people have decided to beat up on soybeans, and I think they're making a mistake. And the reason I say that is, let's say for example, a person is a dyed-in-the-wool meat eater. Somebody's got a high cholesterol and they got extra weight and so forth. And if they say, okay, tell me what I do, and I look at what are you eating for breakfast, and if they're eating bacon. If they throw that bacon out and they have soy bacon instead, if they throw out pork sausage and they have soy sausage instead, that's a transition food.
Got it.
That they may not stay with forever, but it's much better than what they were eating before. It doesn't have the animal fat or cholesterol, and it helps them to see maybe I don't really need that. And then as time goes on, they're going to make an extra step, like you're saying. They're going to think, wait a minute, I can have something even more natural still. So those are helpful in that respect. But what the soy protein isolate is that people have discovered that soy protein is extremely versatile. You can turn it into bacon and sausage, and one day they'll make snow tires and lawn furniture out of it. It's amazing. Really. And so that's what they do. It's not bad, but it's not the same as broccoli or brown rice or a bean. So use them as a transition food. Now, when people are thinking about GMO food, genetically modified food, there is GMO soy, but what that is cattle feed. That's chicken feed. So if let's say you're eating chicken or you're eating beef, chances are that animal spent his or her entire life eating GMO soy and GMO corn. Mm-hmm. That's not what you're going to eat. If you're going to have tofu, it says organic, firm tofu. By law, it cannot be GMO. And that's perfectly a-okay. Now, these are optional things. You don't have to have them, but we've been using them as for convenience, and also because they do have some medicinal effects that are really good. Yeah.
And just to repeat that again, you're saying plant-based 100% for 12 weeks, low fat, no oils, and half cooked soy, half a cup of cooked soy.
Yep.
Okay.
And you can do that in a couple of ways. When we did this research study that I'm describing, the Instant Pot company, I said, could you please give us some Instant Pots for people who don't have a pressure cooker? And they said, okay. And so we gave everybody one. And what they did is they just cook them for about 40 minutes. And then you put them in little, like a Ziploc bag in a half a cup portion. So you got them every day, or a little Tupperware or whatever. And then they would put them on their salad or in their soup like pine nuts. But if you really want to be cool, here's what you can do. Take them out of your Instant Pot. Put them on a parchment paper covered baking sheet, kind of thin. Put them in your oven. Bake them for an hour at about 360, and out they come like they're toasted. and you put them in a little bag and you put them in your car or in your desk, and they're like dry roasted peanuts. And you can sprinkle on some garlic salt or paprika or whatever the heck you want. And or frankly, if you're feeling a little pressed for time, you just go online and you can order, like Laura brand has toasted. They're pre-toasted. So people use them that way too. My point is that instead of going to the pharmacy and picking up a pill and swallowing that pill and looking at the potential side effects and hoping you do okay, people have fun with it. They're cooking up a food, they're exploring new things, they're losing weight, they feel better, people are remarking how they look, and their hot flashes get better. And then at the same time, all the other worries. Will I get breast cancer? Will I get heart disease? Will my brain start to play tricks on me? All those things get better too.
I love that. I really do. I want to ask one more question about this before we maybe talk about other foods that we could have over the age of 45 that will help us optimally achieve the health we want. Low fat. So when I think of low fat, I think of hunger, like I'm going to be hungry all the time. So, or people that do lose fat, they think of they're going to lose so much weight that it's not going to look healthy. What is the truth about that? What is how can you be hungry? How can you eat and not feel hungry 5 minutes later?
Yeah, great question. Anything will fill you up. High fiber foods will fill you up. High fat foods will fill you up. High carbohydrate foods will fill you up. High protein foods will fill you up. It's a question of when you feel full. Okay, I'm eating now, I'm feeling full now. Stop. How many calories did you actually take in with each of these different ways of eating? And if people do it with a high fat way, let's say I'm eating a lot of cheese and fatty meats. By the time I get full, I've eaten a certain number of calories. If I do it in a low fat way, where I'm eating, say, beans and vegetables and fruits and whole grains, at the point you feel full there, you're about 200 or 300 calories less than with the high fat way, because the fiber fills you up and the high complex carb foods fill you up too. And over time, what people discover is they adjust their eating. So they're eating more food than before, a lot more fiber, a lot more healthy complex carbohydrates, but their weight comes down. And for many people, this is a huge advantage because you feel satisfied, but you're losing that unwanted weight. Will you lose too much weight? Well, first of all, people who have that problem are the envy of everybody else who is struggling to lose weight. But if people want to limit their weight loss, you can do it in two ways. You just either eat more food, more healthy food, or you can increase the fat content if you wish to, but make sure it's really healthy fats. So the fats that are in nuts or seeds or avocado or something like that. But let's say you think, I need to knock out extra weight. Now's the time for you to not have the guacamole and stuff right now. Let's say you want to knock out your hot flashes. Give me 12 weeks and try doing these three things, and let's see if we can cure you. And then after that point, if you want to bring in the fattier foods and play around and see how you feel, do that. But the medical theory that we always use is I want a person to be able to be completely cured of whatever is bugging them, if they can get there. So that's why I don't play around with it. If you needed an antibiotic that you take 3 times a day, I'm not going to say, well, for you, just take it once a day and see if that works. And I'm going to do the same thing with diet. I'm going to say, let's try a perfect diet, or as close to perfect as we can get. But we're going to focus on a short time frame. We're going to size up how we do. And then after you're feeling fantastic, if you want to bring in some of the bad stuff at that point, go ahead. But what I don't want to do is just kind of dribble into the diet in the hope that eventually it'll help you. I want you to feel better tomorrow if I can.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And that's everybody's wish.
Right.
But it's the discipline to actually do it. That's the as I had mentioned to you off the air, that we were this weekend, we had a group of people that went through the I Am the Solution weekend. And it's amazing how a flashlight, just the light bulb goes off when you hear some of these things. And I'm hoping that what you're saying is going to motivate someone and say, listen, I can eat a lot of great foods. I just need to eliminate these that are not, supporting me right now, and making that our choice. And that's what we talk about here at whenyouneedafriend.com. And I want to make sure that you are subscribers. That way you have Dr. Neal Barnard's information. You'll get a blog on Sunday letting you know who's in the classroom with all their contact information. And you already have Dr. Neal Barnard's information if you are a subscriber. If you're not, please subscribe when you go to whenyouneedafriend.com, and also like and follow all my social media, including BitChute, Odyssey, and all those places that do not censor the things that sometimes that we must say in order for us to know some new truths. And please, while you're there, check out my sponsors and support them the way that they're supporting the classroom. And then there's the affiliate bag, my little shop now bag. These are my affiliates. These are places, groups that I've vetted. I've made sure that they're Lilly approved. These are products that I use, and it helps grow the classroom. So when you purchase from there, it helps give a percentage to the classroom. So please consider going through the little shop now bag and helping the classroom out. Another way you can help the classroom out is by becoming an enrolled student in the classroom. You can donate $1 or $1,000 a month, or a one-time donation, whatever you can afford, whether it's your time, your talent, or your treasure. We appreciate everything that you can do. Today, we're talking to Dr. Neal Barnard, who is so generous to offer 3 of these books, Your Body in Balance. Text me at 407-373-5959, and I'll put your name in the winner's basket. And on Friday, I will pick 3 names out. If you're out of the country, then you will need to pay for your own postage, or we can just keep it here in the United States and you can get your book. So just let me know. You can email me at lily@whenyouneedafriend.com, and that way I can tell you if we can send you the book out of the country. I believe that if that would be good, right, Dr. Barnard, if they pay their own shipping, because it could be expensive to ship outside of the country.
I'm not worried about it. We'll make it work.
Oh, we'll make it work. We'll make it work. Dr. Barnard, you can find him at pcrm.org. That's Physicians Committee for Responsible Medicine, pcrm.org. I'm so excited that you're in today to the classroom today to talk about this, because it seems so complicated, or we make it complicated because our vices, our addictions take over reason. And that's pretty much why we wouldn't choose to eat healthier and just say, I'm going to die from something anyway. But the question is, how do we want to live? How do we want to live till you take that final breath? So I am so excited that we are talking about Your Body in Balance today. But Dr. Barnard, again, we make it complicated, but it really isn't. When you talk about it, it just seems very simple.
Yeah. And I don't want people to think that they have to go to the store and get alfalfa sprouts and that's what they're going to eat. Here's what I'm thinking. I've talked about plant-based diet, low fat, so forth. Let's say we go to a fancy Italian restaurant. The waiter comes up and says, "Would you like a glass of red wine?" And you could say, "Sure," whatever, it comes. And then you get a beautiful appetizer of, say, some grilled asparagus and a nice salad to start. And then they bring you your angel hair pasta with an arrabbiata sauce. And the chef comes out and explains to you. Arrabbiata doesn't mean that it's from the Middle East. It means arrabbiata is the Italian word for angry. This is my spicy sauce. Mm-hmm. And so it's delicious. It's got grilled mushrooms on it and more grilled vegetables on the side. At the end of the dinner, you get an espresso. That whole meal might have felt indulgent and wonderful, but it was completely plant-based. There wasn't much fat in it. It was totally healthy. Or let's say we go Latin American style, and I'm going to have not the greasy meat taco. I have a bean burrito, hold the cheese, but I can put as many jalapenos in there as I want to. It's still fine. It still works. Let's say I'm going to have a chili. Instead of the meat chili, I'll have the bean chili. It's really, really easy to make these kinds of changes. Let's say we go to the sushi bar and we say to the sushi chef, I'd like a cucumber roll, give me an asparagus roll, give me a sweet potato roll, give me the sweet potato salad, give me the miso soup, da-da-da-da-da. Very indulgent, you can feel totally full. But these are small changes. I'm avoiding the animal products in each case. I'm keeping the oil low, but I didn't say tiny portion. I said, eat what you want, make it fun. Eat the things your family's going to eat with you. It takes a little bit of thinking. The way we do it in our clinic here, which is, by the way, it's the Barnard Medical Center here. It's a nonprofit clinic that we started back 7 years ago, I guess. We always say to people who want to lose weight or reverse diabetes or tackle their menopause, whatever, take a week. Figure out the foods that you might eat that work for you. And we always have a dietitian who sits down with them, and sometimes, a woman comes in, she's the patient, but she has her reluctant husband who's going to do it with her. Okay, we'll change our diet together. And they plan out their menu together for breakfast, lunch, dinner, and it just works for people. So anyway, it's not deprivation at all. It's quite the opposite. It often feels a little bit more indulgent than people thought, because there's no limit on carbs or calories or that kind of stuff at all.
Yeah. It's I used to eat a certain way growing up. Grew up in a family where my father would buy a half cow, put it in the freezer, and then every weekend we'd have T-bone steaks or whatever was left over in the freezer. And I would have to eventually be taken to the emergency room because my body didn't process animal products. It just could not. So I changed it a bit. We're not animal products, beef, red meat, pork, and beef. So I stopped. I mean, and that was like huge for my parents when I stopped eating red meat and pork. And it was like they would have rather me walk away from my religion than walk away from the way that everybody was eating in our family. But then I started eating chicken and fish and turkey, and that became what I would have. Even that became too much for me. And so once I switched to a whole food plant-based diet or a vegan diet, it's amazing how it supported my body. Never in a million years would I have thought that this was something that I would have embraced, but it really was wonderful for me. It really was. And so with that in mind, people always say, well, what do you eat? What do you eat? Well, there's a lot of things that we can eat. So what are some of the foods, Dr. Barnard, that are that we can embrace more than some of the other things that we should just let go of? Maybe just release them for about maybe 12 weeks and see how your body feels.
Sure.
What are some other foods that we can embrace?
Okay, when we're thinking about the food choices, there are certain things we want to focus on, things we want to eliminate. Let's look at both groups, maybe starting with just kind of the ingredients, the building blocks. So the building blocks to include, I'm going to say it's fruits, vegetables, whole grains, and legumes. The legumes is the bean group. So fruits, vegetables, whole grains, beans. Those are the building blocks. And the things that I'm going to avoid: animal products, added oils, sugary junk. That stuff gets built in. That's what I want to avoid. Okay, so processed foods,
basically, right?
You could say that, yeah.
Yeah.
And so let's say it's breakfast time. Okay, if I have a big bowl of oatmeal, does that count? Yeah, I guess it does. I'm not putting Spam on top of that. That's perfectly okay. That's a whole grain. And as long as I didn't put heavy cream on top, maybe I have it with cinnamon or some blueberries or some sliced bananas or sliced strawberries or something like that. Okay, fine. I can have fruit if I want to along with it. Now, I got to tell you, different countries handle this completely differently. If you ever travel to Mexico, they will have the breakfast buffet in your hotel has a big vat of black beans. You think, beans for breakfast? Can that be true? And they'll say, sure. Do you want your salsa mexicana to go with it? This will start your day off right. You go to London. I'm telling you, you go to London and you stay at the airport hotel. You get up in the morning and they've got beans for breakfast too. It's not black beans. It's what you'd call baked beans. Same in Australia. Now, if you were in a Middle Eastern country, they do the same. But it's not black beans and it's not pinto beans and it's not baked beans. It's the chickpea turned into hummus, which is their breakfast. So every other country other than where I grew up in North Dakota, our grandparents knew about beans. For us, we didn't know about it. But anyway, you can incorporate that if you want to.
I love it.
And if it's dinner time, I got to tell you, I really like to. I'm going to say think international. I gave a couple of examples. Italian food always, it's amazing because pasta and so forth, so many different toppings work great. I mentioned the sushi bar where you can have sushi if you want. Japanese food almost always works fabulously because they have so many plant-based options. You go to a Chinese restaurant and they're going to do you a big favor because not only do they have lots of rice dishes and every kind of vegetable dish, but for Americans like me who grew up in the Midwest and were afraid of tofu, they're going to give it to you in a way that makes it actually seem like really cool food. And by the way, credit where credit is due. There's a restaurant chain called P.F. Chang's that's all over the place. And it's amazing what they have done. By the way, I have no economic interest in P.F. Chang's, but I'm going to say a good thing to them because you know why? People go in and they order their draft beer or, whatever the heck they're having. The server will bring them these things they call a lettuce wrap. And it's kind of like a taco, but it's lettuce and it's got all this stuff inside.
Yeah.
And Hank and Betty are eating this stuff like tacos. They think it's great. And then they say, what is it? And they'll say, you know what it is? It's a lettuce wrap that's stuffed with little tofu shreds and little sliced water chestnuts and mushrooms and things like that with some kind of amazing sauce. And it's fabulous. So from that lesson, which this restaurant chain made, everyone thinks tofu is cool. That's my, that's
They
my.
used to do that with chicken.
Yeah, they used to do it with chicken, and then
That's
somehow
right.
along the line they said,
Awesome.
"Forget the chicken. Let's have it with the tofu." And the tofu has no cholesterol, no animal fat. So the point being, you do not have to say no to a dinner invitation. There is lots of stuff for you to eat, but it does take you a little time to kind of decipher it. And after about 7 days, 8 days, the training wheels come off. You are now an expert. And because this is not the old kind of diet that said starve, go to bed hungry. Eventually the weight will come up. This is one where you eat what you want. You eat how much you want. You eat till you feel satisfied, and your body will take care of itself.
Yeah. When people ask me, what kind of diet, I'm so I don't have a diet. I don't ever diet. I have a way of eating. I eat a certain way, and people need to just, I just want to encourage all of you to, the thoughts in our mind, our thoughts promote our feelings and our feelings promote our actions. If we nip it in the thought and say, this isn't about a diet, this is about nutrition, and this is a lifestyle change, then you eliminate that, I'm going to starve myself for this much. What do you say to people that feel that starving themselves and, or taking medication to speed up their metabolism? What do you say to people like that's been their pattern and their go-to to lose weight as opposed to release healthy fat or release fat and embrace a new lifestyle?
Okay, if there's anybody who's in line at the drugstore counter and you're getting your prescription, whatever it is, to try to speed up your metabolism, now is the time. Turn around, get out of line, go to your car and go home, because I'm going to show you how you can do this naturally. Your metabolism, using the word the right way, the scientific way, what your metabolism is, your cells, the cells of your body, are turning food into energy. That's why you ate it. It's like you're eating food and it's going to give energy to your brain and to your heart to keep it beating and to your muscles to do the work you need them to do. And so inside your cells, every cell of your body, there are these little cells, these little cellular organelles called mitochondria. You might remember that from your high school biology. Mitochondria are furnaces, tiny little microscopic furnaces that take food, give you energy. If they are not working, your metabolism is slow. You're gaining weight. Why are they not working? We know the reason, and the reason is not what you have thought. The reason your mitochondria are not working, the reason your metabolism is not going anywhere, the reason your furnaces are not turned on is because fatty foods that we ate, cheese, bacon, fried chicken, the fat particles got into our cells, and this greasy oil slick is making the mitochondria drown in grease. They can't work anymore. They can't turn nutrients into fuel. When we get that out, and I've been talking about getting rid of the excess fat, getting rid of the animal fat, your mitochondria can start burning nutrients again. Your metabolism will go back to where it's going to be. No drug expenses, no drug side effects, and it's all done naturally, so you feel better than you've ever felt.
So with that in mind, when somebody goes to an Italian restaurant or a Chinese restaurant, or do you tell the chef, low oil or no oil, steam it, stir fry it in water, or what do you tell the to balance out what you're saying, that to bring down the heavy oils?
Yeah. Well, first of all, I do like to, what you do discover is that if you go to the same restaurant over and over again, they're going to come to know you and you're going to know them. Tip them well, because then they're going to start taking, when you come in, they're going to put you at your favorite table. They know exactly the way you like it. So treat them well, treat them with respect, because they're going to give you a great meal. But you can even do this if you're out of town, you're in some new place. Think about different things. Let's say the salad comes, it's drenched in dressing. What you can always just say is, let me have, what dressings do you have? Can I get it on the side?
Yeah.
And then you can dip into it or not, or however much you want. You can do the same thing with any kind of sauce that you want. But that is the big issue. I got to tell you, Italian restaurants have no problem with plant-based foods. They've been doing this for centuries and centuries. They know what a chickpea is. They can do this for you. The problem you're going to have is they are in love with their bottle of olive oil. And they want you to be in love with it too. So you've got to be a little bit careful with that. You might have to negotiate a little bit, but they can steam things. They can also roast things. They can grill things. They can do it all different kinds of ways.
Very good. Okay, so because we're not having a teacher's pet corner, I do want to ask some of the questions that are popping up, if that's okay.
You bet.
Okay, so Lisa says she's a 52-year-old, has never had weight problems, but now over the last 2 to 3 years, my weight is continually going up 40 pounds. I crave sugary snacks and all the time. So what do you say to her?
Okay. First of all, I'm sorry that you're dealing with this, but there's definitely a solution. It's a little bit easier than you'd think. What I would suggest is that we focus not on what you're going to do for the rest of your life, because that's too much. Let's focus on something we can do just right now, and we're going to see if we like it. Don't give up your skepticism. You may not think this is right. Give it a try. Here's what we're going to do. Let's say we take 3 weeks. You can take more if you want. But for the first week, here's what I would do. I would make a list, and seriously do this. Take a piece of paper and write breakfast, lunch, dinner, snack. I want those categories. For the next 7 days, don't change your diet, but write down foods that happen to be plant-based, whether it's oatmeal or cream of wheat for breakfast or pancakes without the eggs and so forth. Plant-based things. Think about them for lunch. I'm going to have pizza with no cheese. I'll have extra sauce. Whatever it is, make your ideas. Think about them, go to the store, buy them, try them out. If you don't like them, take them off the list. After a week, you're going to have a good list. Now, for the next 2 weeks after that, eat off that list. Now, I know what you're thinking. That's too easy. Wait a minute, just try out foods and eat the ones I like? Yes. But what we're going to do for those 2 weeks is we're going to avoid animal products completely. We're going to have totally plant-based foods and keep the oils really low. So your assignment for the next week is just think of the foods that meet those criteria, try them out, make a list, and then you just eat them. At the end of that test, 2 things I promise you will have happened. The first is you'll feel better. You'll have lost a little bit of weight. Not huge, but it's starting. And you might feel your digestion is better. You'll feel you're sleeping better. Okay. The second thing that happens is your tastes are starting to adjust. You decide, it seemed a little light before, but now I kind of prefer this lighter taste. And then you decide, I'll try it for another week. The beauty of this approach is you're making really big changes, but in small chunks of time so that you are never giving up control. Junk food is right around the corner if you ever want it, but you're trying a really good diet and that weight is going to start to come off. If it does not, if you ever, or you hit a plateau, then it's either because animal products came into your diet and you didn't kick them out, or you were a little liberal with oily things like nuts, seeds, nut products like peanut butter, avocado, oils, that kind of thing. Kick those out for now and see what happens.
Very good. Very good. Now, Kimberly Kirshner is a friend of mine, and she is also a Food for Life instructor. And so she posted your 21-day vegan kickstart program. So,
fantastic.
Yes. So
by
we
the
have
way,
it there.
The Food for Life instructors are the greatest folks. These are people who are specially trained to be able to show not just kind of the why, but also the how. So Food for Life, people should go online and find a Food for Life instructor near them. Whatever classes they are given, take them twice. These people really know what they're doing.
Yes, yes. And for those of you who would like to try to get a copy of the Your Body in Balance, we're giving away 3. You can text me at 407-373-5959, or you can email me at lily@whenyouneedafriend.com. And so in this book, there is menus, there's recipes in this book, and you basically tell them what they can have. See, I love that. Sometimes I just don't want to create. Sometimes I want somebody to tell me what to do. And so you have the menus for each day in this book, and then you have the recipes in the back of the book as well. So this is not only educational, but also will spark your curiosity and your creativity and creating different meals for yourself. And real quick, Dr. Barnard, when it comes to, you said order a pizza without cheese. There are a lot of vegan products that are plant-based. What is your position on, or research that you've done for vegan cheeses that would be an alternative for someone who would want that cheesy taste on their pizza?
Okay, there's a magical ingredient that is at every health food store, and it's called nutritional yeast. If you know about this, you're nodding your head, but if you haven't heard about it, what it is, it's not brewer's yeast or baker's yeast. It's called nutritional yeast, bright yellow. You open it and it has kind of this cheesy aroma. And so you take your pizza, you put the sauce on, and you sprinkle the nutritional yeast in it, throw it in the oven, it comes out, and people are going to say, wow, cheese pizza, I love it. You say, well, it's not actually cheese. It smells like cheese. It tastes like cheese. It's nutritional yeast, 0 fat, 0 cholesterol. So that's a super thing. Now, there are chunks of cheese. They're often cashew based that you can have if you want. If you're trying to lose weight, this may not be your time to be doing that. It's a better kind of fat than cheese fat, but it's enough that it's going to slow down your weight loss probably. And there's one thing that I suggest that people avoid. First of all, avoid cow's cheese, because if it were any worse, it would be Vaseline. It's very fatty, but the coconut oil cheeses are very high in saturated fat too. So coconut oil and palm oil, I'm encouraging you to avoid.
And the nutritional yeast, one of the things that I look for in my nutritional yeast is that it's unfortified. So it's got folate instead of folic in there. Do you have a particular brand? Because I go to my organic grocery store. It's a food co-op. I go there and I get it from bulk, and it's unfortified.
Yeah,
I think that's what it's called, unfortified. But I get it from my bulk.
For people who are new to it, go to the health food store, and you might have to ask the cashier, where is your nutritional yeast? And what they'll do is they'll say, see that bodybuilder over there? Because all these guys are getting these big supplements of stuff. Nutritional yeast is super high in protein. So it's sometimes in the supplement aisle. Sometimes it's next to the soy sauce, but give it a try and try different brands, see which one you like.
Awesome. Okay. The book is called Your Body in Balance. Please can they just go to Amazon and get it? Or do you want them to go to your website? Okay.
No, go to Amazon and get 2. Give one to your friend who needs a little help too.
Yeah. Friends that grow together, stay together. I always say that. So Your Body in Balance, we're going to be giving away 3 on Friday. Friday is September 2nd, I believe. And I want to encourage you to text and tell your friends to text. And we're going to be giving 3 of these books away. And I'll give your name to Dr. Barnard, who's been very generous to offer 3 of his books for you so that you can learn and grow. Any final words? We've got about a minute left before we need to go. Any final words that if somebody were to walk in right now, what's the most important thing that you'd want them to know?
The most important thing is that on this program, and not just this program, but all the other programs that Lily McDermott has done, people learn so many things. What I would really ask is anybody who's listening to this is take what you know, share it with somebody else. You're going to change their life just like your life has been changed. So anyway, thank you for letting me speak with you again today. It's so wonderful to be able to see you again. And I think the real thing is take what we've learned, share it with other people.
I am so grateful to you, Dr. Barnard. We've missed you in the classroom. Look forward to seeing you again soon. And for those of you, remember Your Body in Balance. If you want to just get your copy now, or you can win one of 3 books. So go ahead and text me 407-373-5959. And please remember, we'll be right here waiting for you worldwide at whenyouneedafriend.com. This is Lillian McDermott and Dr. Neal Barnard wishing you love, peace, joy, and unexpected abundance. Make it the best day ever. Good job. Good job. Thank you, Dr. Barnard.
Thank you.
The opinions and advice expressed on the Lillian McDermott radio show are intended for the individual callers and guests on the program and are presented to our wider audience solely for general educational purposes. Please act responsibly and consult personally with your own medical, psychological, or nutritional expert before taking any steps to improve your life.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you for watching. We'll see you tomorrow. Thank you, Dr. Barnard.